Oh, you're here. Awesome. Let's get started. So, what do you do in this video? I will show you how we can make a concept model of this microphone stand. And what is really interesting about this exercise is I will show you the similarities to the parametric modeling in Fusion 360. Blender obviously is polygon based, so it's not as precise as Fusion. But there's a lot of, in terms of work process, we could borrow from the way how we work in Fusion and do this in Blender. So what does this mean? Let's take a look at this knob here. Pretty cool, no? Has all these details. If we go into edit mode, look at that. It's just a basic sketch. And then when I leave edit mode, everything is detailed. We will make heavy use actually of the modifiers. So there you can see there's the sketch, very simple. And then, for example, around an edge, then we apply a revolve command. Then we do cuts, and then we do more cuts. So the modifier stack, just as an introduction or an overview, works pretty much in a similar way like the timeline in Fusion. We have a start and we have an end, top down. We have a start, we have an end, top down. The only thing where it's different to Blender is this is all based on an object. And then each object has its own kind of like mini timeline or modeling stack. Okay, with all that said, let's get going. Let's start with a new empty scene. I press A and X to delete everything. We don't need the timeline. If you see this, right click at the border, join and join it. The mic stand is a smaller object. So let's go to scene, units, and set the length display to millimeters. That makes it a lot easier. Very good. We will set up our scene with a backdrop image. Before we do this, Shift S, cursor to world origin. So the 3D cursor is right at the center. And then we can go to view and viewpoint and front. They're good. Now we're looking at it from the front. Awesome. Let's add a background image. The difference between background and reference is the background image only is visible when we're in the front, side, top, orthographic view. In 3D view, we don't see it. And that's exactly what we want. Let's go background. Then I will go to downloads. The download link for this image is inside the description of the video. Download it, load it. There we are. Cool. So you see where the 3D cursor is, there's also the object center of this image. And we don't want to move the image up. We will do actually something different. With the image still selected, let's go to here, to the object data properties. And then look at that. We have left and right, so minus 0.5. And we have up and down. We set this to 0. Okay. Then when we zoom in, there we can see how we can actually move this up till the bottom part of the image lines up with the x-axis. But now this image is 5,000 millimeters wide. Obviously way too big. The base has a diameter of 130 millimeters. So we can go to add and then we go to mesh and I will use a cube. Very easy. Then go to here and this is the diameter, and the diameter of the cube we set to 130 millimeters. Cool. Now we have a reference to how much we have to scale this image down. We can select the image, press S, and just scale it. Then I zoom in and scale. Let's go to wireframe mode. Okay, so this lines up. Let's take a look here. No, this lines up pretty good too. The bottom nearly, yeah, it's nearly good. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can keep it this way. Maybe Maybe we move this just a little bit down. You see, the problem with screenshots is when you zoom in or zoom out, the pixels get bigger or smaller. So this reference image only will help us to give an overall proportional idea. Good. This cube we can now delete. So select it and press X. This image, double click, recall mic reference, for example. And then we turn this on, drag this one to scene collection, and then we can click on this. So this image I cannot click anymore. Very good. Now I basically set up my environment. The image is scaled correctly. It is positioned correctly. And when I go into a 3D view, you see the image is gone. When I go to a front view, then I see it. Pretty cool, no? Okay, so now we are ready to do our first modeling. And that is going to be the base foam ring. It's the easiest object. It is actually a square rectangular shape, which is then 360-degree revolved. So to do this, Shift S, cursor to world origin to make sure it sits there. Then we go add mesh and plane. The size is 130 millimeters, so the diameter. We can rotate this one 90 degrees. Very good. Let's go into wireframe mode. We zoom out a little bit. Let's go into edit mode. Right click and say subdivide. Why did I do subdivide? Look, when I subdivide it, I get, well, more subdivisions. And this is very useful because I can select all these points, X, and delete them. Cool. In Fusion, we 3D model a lot based on sketches. And the sketches we dimension. And the dimensions basically lock down where lines are, where points are based on each other, and also the sketch center. In this exercise, we will make use a lot of the transform property, which you can open and see when you press the N key. And then when I click this point, you will see locally, this is at 65 millimeters along the x-axis, and z and y is 0. This ring should be 10 millimeters, let's say, wide. So this point has to be 10 millimeters from here to the left. When this is at 65, then the next point should be at 55. I can select these two, go to X and type in 55 and enter. Very good. There. Awesome, no? Yeah, pretty easy. You also see here now an interesting readout. It says Y65, but this is actually the Z-axis. And if we go to global, oh, look at that. Now Z and Y actually flipped. What's going on here? Well, this actually makes much sense. Let's go to object mode, and you see that this object is actually rotated. So this is actually local Y. When I type in 90, then this is local Y. Even while this is global Z, this object is rotated and has the Y that direction. If we turn this on, local and this, there you see now Z is actually there. That's the difference between local and global, literally in every program. Okay. The reason why this is important is this rotation we can apply or bake. If I go to object, apply rotation, you see it's all reset. The Z now looks up. When I go into edit mode and I click these points, there, 65, no matter, local or global. Okay, very good. So with that selected, I can shift click these 2 points. They should be 1 millimeter above these 2 points. Okay, that's easy. Z1, enter, done. Cool. Okay. The sketch kind of like is done, and we have the rectangular base, 1 millimeter height, 10 millimeters width. starting 65 from the outside, going inwards, and the bottom is aligned to the x-axis. Cool. So how do we turn this now into a three-dimensional thing? Actually, hold on, before we continue, let's go to shaded mode, because I switched a lot between shaded and wireframe mode. You see this is filled. Let's go back to edit mode. Press A and X and say just remove the face so the filling is gone. Now this is really truly more like a sketch in Fusion, for example, because it's just the outline. This we would like to revolve 360-degree around each other. There's the object center, there is the mesh, there is the modifier, and there is the revolve command in Blender. It's called screw. You click it, look at that. Pretty cool. I think so too. 64, 64. With tab you can switch between them or click and drag down 64. Then, what else can we do? Right click, shade smooth. Yeah, you see there are some funny shading things happening here. So we will address this. And let me introduce you to face orientation. Now, some stuff is blue, some stuff is red. What's the difference? Well, welcome to the face normal orientation. Same thing in Fusion when the surface is gold or silver. Silver is inside, gold is, silver is the outside surface and gold is the inside surface. And here red is the inside and blue is the outside. And we would like only to see the blue. So we can go flip, but now you see this is correct, but the rest is flipped. Well, let's click on calculate order. There you see then this basically evens out all the faces looking to the same direction. And then with flip, we can switch inside or outside. Cool. Little tip. This face orientation, we can also call in the edit menu too. And to have really fast access to it, I can put this into a quick favorite menu. And you see, and to create this, I'm in edit mode, so I right click. And now here you would see assign to quick favorites. Because I have it assigned, I only can remove it. And you see it's gone. And assign. And there it is back. You see, super easy. And the same is also then for the object mode. So I can turn this off. Now to fix the shading issue, currently what Blender or any polygon modeler would try to do is we told the software shade this smooth, aka it tries to, well, make a nice soft highlight, go over to give us the illusion of this being round. Well, this face is round, but this is flat, and here we have a sharp corner, same there too. So we need to break these edges. Here we can go to Object Data Property, Normals, and we need to turn on what's called Auto Smooth. And the software then decides based on the angle. So here, this is 90 degree. Great, we break the shading. Between these faces, the angle is very small. Very nice. So we can shade it smooth. Also this, right click, we can put into the quick favorite menu. Very nice. Cool. Yeah. So I would say we have actually the first piece nearly done. Let's call this one foam ring. There we are. Maybe we drag this one out to here. I'm not sure yet what I do with this collection. Okay. Now we can build the cast iron base. We can start completely from scratch, or we can continue using actually this foam ring which we created, make a copy, and then we continue modifying it. That's what we're going to do. To make a copy, we will go to Object Copy and Object Paste. Thank you. So let's call this cast iron base. And this has to move up by 1 millimeter. Because this was modeled by 1 millimeter height, and I moved this 1 millimeter up, it perfectly sits on top. Very good. I will turn off the screw modifier for both. So it's very easy now to see actually the sketches. Let's click the top one. Then we go to edit mode. We can zoom in a little bit. Click this point, and now you see here local. That says actually this is along Z, 0. If we turn on global, now you see this is actually at 1. This is at global 2 millimeter. No? So just to show you again how this really works. This vertical face should be 10 millimeters. So this makes sense. Go to local. I can select these 2 points, and then here I type in 10. Zack. Goes to there. Okay. I can also turn on the grid and absolute grid snapping. With this point selected, press E and then hold Control and click E and click E and click E and click E. See how it actually moves around, or I can very loosely. That's kind of like the way how we work in Fusion 2. We very quickly sketch something out there. F, we fill this in. X, we delete this edge. There's now our sketch. And now these points I can start pushing into the correct position. I can select this point G to move it around, hold Control, and then snap it to where I want them maybe to be. So I'm using the grid to nicely lay out everything. Okay. But because of this element here, I have more control over specifying everything nicely. These 2 points from the z-axis should be 9.5 millimeters away. Okay. Select them. There, 9.5, enter. Sweet. From these 2 points from the object starting point should be at a height of 15 millimeters. So here's Z, there, 15. Zack, there we are. Isn't it beautiful? I think so too. What's this? I would like to learn actually the length. There are 2 ways how we can do this. We go to here, turn this on, so 4.5 millimeters, or we go to measure, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. I'm holding, when I say drag, I'm holding actually the control key. You see then it snaps actually to the mesh points. So 4.5 millimeters, 10 millimeters. Okay, good. To remove those, I could go back to here or go back into measurement. So it's kind of like dimensions, but unlike in Fusion, they don't really adjust the geometry. They only do readouts. And I want to remove them, so I click and drag the number, turn this into an angle, and I press delete, delete. Very good. Okay, so this should be at actually 25. This is at 14. So yep, and 25. Yeah, so this is all good. Are we done? No, not yet. You notice that actually this line and this line is not parallel. So how can we do this better? We select these 2 points, X and delete. In Fusion, we would select align and make an offset. Now we don't really have this tool, but what we can do is, first I will switch to vertex, Shift T, hold Control, click, and we snap it. Now this point is not merged onto here, so press A to select everything. Then we go to Mesh, Cleanup, and where is it? Merge by distance. No, this is 1 point. Look at this. we have these two lines cutting. That's beautiful because we can select these two lines, and where they intersect, tell the software to trim it. It's kind of like in AutoCAD or in Fusion 360 in the Sketch, the trim tool. We go to Edit and Preferences. In here, you would like to type in Tiny, and turn on TinyCAD. Then with these edges selected, right click and say Auto. Auto basically means it finds where these two lines intersect and add a point onto each line. So we can then select the line segments, press X and delete. And this is actually now, as you can see, perfectly parallel. Very nice. Cool. Okay. Object mode. Then we can go to the revolve. So screw again. 64, 64. Q, turn on face orientation. There you can see this is problematic. So we say calculate order and flip. Very nice. We would like right click and say shade smooth. And yeah, the outer smooth is already turned on because we made a copy of the small part here below. This is all pretty good. The only thing maybe what we can do is when we go into edit mode, where is actually the sketch? There it is. So point select this point, and this point. I would like to round a little bit, but ideally I don't want to hard model the rounding. I want this to be a filter to work. Oh, I noticed because I made a copy of this one before. You see there's already a screw modifier. So the screw modifier actually was already in place and should have worked already. Here again to show you when I make a copy, Shift D, you see it copies also that screw modifier. Okay. In my video, I just only had an additional modifier added, like we would have made a new mesh, but we just made a copy of an existing object. So sorry for the confusion. Okay, anyway, back to track. Let's not get distracted. In edit mode, these 3 points we select, and then vertex data for the bevel weight, we click and set to 1. So basically now, whatever bevel value we apply to this object can be limited just to these points. And because we made these points 1 and these points here 0, the 0 points do not get any bevel weight. So how does this look? Let's go into object mode and turn shaded look on. Then we go to modifier, bevel. We say maybe 0.1 millimeters. Vertex, that looks a little bit funny. What's going on? Maybe 1. Oh, look at that. There are these points rounded, but that's not what I want. I don't want the points rounded. I want this corner rounded. What do we do in Fusion? We make a sketch, then we can round the corners and then we revolve it. Or we make a revolve and then we select the edge and fillet it. Here, what I can do now to get the same trick, in Blender, I click and drag this on top because now the logic is I have the sketch, then I round these corners. I only want to round the points I marked there. You see it, that's it. Maybe 0.5, make it smaller. And then that sketch I revolve. 10 to make it nice and round, or 20, and 10 is fine. Yeah, that's it. You see, super easy. Again, a very simplistic sketch, basically for the layout, and then with the modifiers, we can add all the details to it. You start noticing how actually there is really a significant similarity between the way how we model in Blender and how we model in Fusion, and particularly when creating the dial and this piece here, you will see it really follows logically the same sequence. That's really the beauty. Mesh and NURBS are two different geometry types, but the commands revolve, extrude, trim, cut, join, subtract is really the same. And then very often the process, how we stack these commands, can really be pretty much the same, which makes it, as I very often say, I don't use two different programs, Blender Fusion, I just used two different work environments. Okay, enough of my talking. This piece is done, and then the next we make the vertical pipe. To make that vertical pipe, we will Shift S, cursor to world origin. Actually, let's select the image here and then opacity 0.5. Let's make this less transparent. Sorry, more transparent, less opaque. And here I will turn the screw modifier off, because now I can see really where the sketch is and I can much better model my stuff. Okay, so now we will make use of the grid a little bit more. Goody. So Shift S, cursor to world origin, Shift A, plane, and then, I don't know, maybe here I type in 10. I have literally no idea. And then I go into edit mode, RX and 90. Let's also here go to wireframe mode. And then I move this one up to here. G, so I drag it and then I snap it right to there. Clock, you see? Very good. Okay, beautiful. These 2 points I delete. Very good. I select everything. E and X, I move to the left side. And then I say, well, this whole thing I would like to be 1.5. But then it extrudes it to the right side. When I press the minus key, you see it goes to the left side. Enter. Very good. Then this we would like to extrude logically up a little bit. So we can select these 2 points. But before I continue, I would like, where this point is, right here, move my 3D cursor to. How do we do this? So I have this point selected. You see it says Z16 and 8. And when I say Shift S, cursor to selected, the cursor goes to there. I want it to be here. I can, 2 easy ways. Turn on the cursor, turn on snapping for the grid, move the cursor, click and drag, hold the control key, and it snaps to there. Cool. And I can also go to, where is it? View, yeah, there. It's under 3D cursor. There we have the ability to custom position our cursor. So in object mode, right click, then we can say set origin to the 3D cursor. Zack, we moved the center point of this object right to there, which is really good because this is the bottom part of my ring, which later will be a revolve object. We can verify some of the dimensions now. So this has a dimension of 1.5 millimeters for this. Okay, so if we now do a revolve, so screw, and then 64, 64 just for thickness, then there we can see, oh, the whole object is actually 19 millimeters wide. Let's say we would like this to be maybe 20. When I click this and I click this, you see actually right here is a line, and that's at the 0.5 millimeter position. So I go into edit mode and go to this and A, and then GX 0.5. I move this 0.5 millimeter over. Or I could also select this point and then say, so you're at 9.5, so you go 10, thank you, and 10, and you go to 8.5. Very good. Let's go Shift S, here, you go back. Thank you. Okay, good. In object mode, now you see this is actually 2 centimeters. It's a nice pipe. There's also an overlap between the base and the tube. That's where the threading, for example, would be. We can shade smooth, Q and auto shade. Let's check the stuff here. Flip, okay, and you flip H to hide. All good. Alt H to unhide. Q, turn this face mode off. Now this thing we would like to move up. We can go into edit mode. By the way, you saw I pressed Z, and this way you can switch between different views. So Z and wireframe. AA, B, and select just the top points. Grid snapping is turned on. That's very good. And then we move this up, hold the control key, and it snaps to the bigger grid. And then when we zoom in, we can snap to the smaller grid. And maybe I go down kind of like to here, 180 for the height. Okay, so then later we might have 1, 2, 3 millimeter of material thickness on top. Okay, very good. Leaving edit mode and turn back to shaded mode. Okay, yeah, that wasn't too difficult, no? Great, because this piece is done. We're going to do the harder pieces at the end. Well, let's focus on the small pipe here in the center. I will do the following. So I will make a copy of this, copy and paste. And we didn't really name pieces here. So we call this telescope pipe outside. Thank you. And here we call this telescope pipe inside. Use names which are logical. Then I will go to the inside one selected, go to edit mode, click here, Shift S cursor to select it. Then we know where is actually the 3D cursor. It's at Z196. When I set this to 0, it's perfectly centered. That's good. Object mode, right click, and say set the origin to there. Cool. So now kind of like the object grows down. Now for telescoping, it has to be smaller. So we can go into edit mode, select everything, have the grid turned on. Very good. G and X, hold then the control key, and for example, drag this down, make it smaller. Not too much. Maybe like this. Good. Then object mode. We can move this one up a little bit and compare. Yeah, looks kind of close to our reference image. What do we have as a diameter? 15.5. It's a little bit small maybe. So let's go back to edit mode. So when I select this line, let's make this 8. And when where's the other line? There we make this 6.5. So it is actually, this line is 1.5 millimeters. Okay, very good. Oh, this is 16. That's better. Okay, very nice. And if we want, for modeling purpose, let's move this one up, kind of like to there. That is at a height. I move this to kind of like, let's say 2 or 4. Yeah, good. Okay. We have also here a smaller pipe there. We do this really quick. Now there's my object center. Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A. We can simply do this via cylinder, or just let's continue. No, actually, let's do cylinder. Then now 1, 2, 3, 4. So radius 4. Oh, that's good. Height maybe 20 millimeters. I don't know. Division 64. And then with the grid snapping, move this up to there. Okay, good. So why revolve versus cylinder? There's not really much of a difference. Only if you later want to change the amount of revolve, then actually with the cylinder, we are stuck at 64 pieces. So just so you understand the difference, which is why let's delete this, Shift A, plane, and then size here I will make, this is the diameter, so 8 millimeters. Very good. We go to edit mode, RX and 90. Very good. Z and wireframe. Then right click and subdivide. Then all these edges here I select. There you see all these, X and delete edges this time. So just this piece remains. I switched the view, by the way, with the 1, 3, and 7 key on the numpad. This, by using the control key, I move down. How much was this? -6, let's say -10. And then this here, I move up to there. I really don't know where this is. Z17 was actually global. Now you see 220. So this Z16, this is based from this point to there, and this Z-10 is from here to there, just so you see what local really means. And when I cursor to select it and then change this in object mode, think about it like I reset the coordinate system. Now it reads out from the bottom there. There we see 26. And this line here, this one, we can X and delete edge. Can clean it up. Then we go screw 64, Z and shade it, and go to object, right click, shade smooth, Q and say auto. We need to flip it, Q and auto smooth, or now we go to here, turn this on and off. Okay, so 1 for front view. S, you want to save actually your file, by the way. Just make sure. Nothing is more annoying than working and then it crashes and everything is lost. And this, for example, we could call, I don't know, rod. This is where the mic attachment will be connected to. And then here we have a small disk that goes around. This disk will sit actually on top of this cylinder. So 2 ways. I could either, because I have my object center point, Shift S, snap my cursor to the selected. And when I make for example, a rectangle now, Shift A plane. Then I go into edit mode. You see how I'm working with the cube a lot. R, X, and 90. Let's go to wireframe mode. S and X, I drag this one out, hold the control key. So I'm blocking this out to the grid. I select these 2 points, move them up, hold the control key, block to the grid. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 millimeters, fine. So the image is a little bit high, but this needs to be smaller. Select these 2 points in edit mode, move, and then hold the control key, and I snap it right to the grid, also where this ends. Tab to leave it there. Oh, tab to go back, AX. Remove the face to color it out, tab. I think a student told me to slow down. It's so difficult. I can also try to speak really slow, so I'm moving my mouse to the modifier and then come on. Let's go to screw modifier. There, 64. Click, click, click. And then zack, 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 zack. Ta-da. Okay. Well, the cool thing is, I was of course making a joke. You can play this video in YouTube 50% or 75% slower. Then I will sound like a Sodaker chant. In case somebody didn't see the Doom movie yet. Really good movie. We would like to round these edges here, or fillet them. So edit mode, point select, click Z and go to wireframe mode. Come on, select these 2. Bevel to 1. We know the bevel needs to be above, so add bevel, drag this up, 0.1 millimeters, maybe 0.25. Let's see. Then this will be weight and vertice. I want to round this point. Okay, well, this is not enough. 0.5. This is better. Maybe 0.75. This is really good. Shaded mode, very nice, cool. Object mode, and we are getting close to now put in the detail for the how do we do these cuts. Let's save. So how to do this detail? We will actually create a circular pattern and then use the circular pattern to cut its volume away from this disk. Let's call this disk there. The next step is actually really important. Let me explain first what we need to do. So here we have the object center for this. The object center is important because the revolve command goes around the object center. Okay, because otherwise we could specify a different axis, which we don't need to because it can use the object center point. Now we will go ahead in object mode, add and cube. Then we say 1 millimeter. Then we go to edit mode, go to wireframe mode. Grid is turned on and we bring this over. Oh, look at that. Why is this not snapping correctly? Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Maybe vertex. I'm holding control key and you see how this snaps actually to the control points there. Very good. And this works too. Then AA, B, select the top and I bring this one up kind of like to there. We can build this a little bit taller. AA, select everything. And now this is for us to decide. We can just eyeball drag this in. This looks like minus 0.5. So I could also say G for move, X along the X-axis, minus 0.5. Very good. when I go into 3D view and show you this, that's where we have. Very nice. Now, the next step is important. We select this edge and this edge. You see I switch to edge select, and then we press S and Y, and we scale it closer to each other. Let's say by 0.5, so 50% closer. Very good. Object mode. So, and now really here comes the secret ingredient. So we will call this actually disk groove. So we understand what this object is doing. And then we will tell this object, make an array. I don't know how many times, maybe, let's say 60. Okay. Goes an interesting way. Welcome to the pattern command. So this is a linear pattern, but we turn this linear function off. And then we say object reference. And nothing happens. It's okay. This is all good. This disk and this piece share the same reference point. And now what we will do is we will rotate this around here, and then the difference in rotation is when we press R and Z. Whoa, look at this. Make this come out. But how many rotations do we do to make this perfect? Well, we have a count of 60. So 360 divided by 60. 6 degrees. Okay. So here we can type in 6. Flop. Look at that. Pretty cool, no? Again, to explain how this array command works. We have our main object, the other object. We make a count of 60. And then we say rotate it or array it around this object as a reference. Here, I can also move this away and go up and down. You see that the vertical offset is now going to do a spiral. So this is definitely a little bit more complicated than the circular pattern in Fusion, but the circular pattern in Fusion is just 2-dimensional. This is 3-dimensional. And we can even do a scale spiral. I mean, this is just pretty fantastic. So it uses the difference between object to object from the center point, and then even the rotation and the scale and the difference. So undo, okay. And we know this needs to be 6 degrees. If it's too small, then it's not full. If it's too much, then it's over intersecting 6 degrees. Cool. Okay, will be time to create a collection called Boolean bodies. I just call this Boolean bodies. You can also call this chocolate donut. It's really up to you. And this disk groove I put into there. I can maybe turn this off for the moment. Click, click, and add a Boolean modifier. Union is good. Always save before we do something like this. And now we go operation, use an object, and here disk groove. Bang. There. How cool is that? And that is actually how this thing is created. Now by modeling this shape, changing it, we can adjust a lot of the details. But what we have here is really sufficient. That was the main goal for me here, to show how this works. Now, let's say for demonstration purpose, when we meet with a client, we want things to move around. Okay, so hey, I can select this and move it up. And oh, where are my cuts? Well, everything moved, but not this stuff. No, so I need to make sure now that everything is perfectly parented. So you and you and you. Actually, you we can parent to this disk. Okay, because this disk, for example, could spin and rotate. And then this disk and the rod, and then shift click this piece. Control P is actually the parenting command there. Okay, good. So now when I turn this one off, you see me move this one up or down, everything goes with it. Pretty cool, no? Even here. This is open. This is fine. We could fill this in. We don't need to do this. We know we can do, but it would be not really adding much to it. The main purpose of this exercise is to show you how to use Blender to quickly make mockups. Sometimes this modeling I find very much faster than actually doing this in Fusion. This is also very easy to do because it's tubular and boxy. So actually really a great showcase for kind of like interactive concept modeling done in Blender, because I can copy and paste, move stuff around. I'm not really limited to the sketch constraint system in Fusion. Yes, later in Fusion I have to rebuild this design probably, but think about this, what we do here, as an extension of 2D sketching. This is kind of like 3D sketching. Okay, enough said. Let's save, and then we build the last piece, the housing here and this dial. Chicken McFried nuggets. This video is already at 50 minutes. I always take a look at this. Oh, it's easy. It's a tube and tube and tube. Will be like 5 minutes, and then again it's an hour. Okay, sorry, I'm trying. Anyway, let's move forward. So we would like to build this piece. Yeah, how do we do this? Actually, let's see. This I will hide, and this I hide with H. Very good. Because this way now I can see this part, and I have kind of like this edge. Good. So I will start this by, where's my 3D cursor? Let's see. Oh, you're kind of like 200, maybe. What's 200? There's 200, 198. Yeah, maybe 199. Okay, very good. Then add new plane. Thank you. And in edit mode, RX and 90. And then right click and subdivide, Z and wireframe, and vertex select. And we say click, 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 and delete. Then A. Maybe turn this on again. So this is perfectly where all the grid parts are. I will actually now do the following. I will press A, move this to somewhere here. I need to see actually the telescope inside. Yeah, because this has to go through it. So these 2 points, I will select G and then hold Control key. And again, it does this. Oh, absolute grid snapping. Ah, no, it does it. Very good. Zack. Then you see now it snaps perfectly to the grid. We would like to have like 3 millimeters of material overhang. And there you see I'm using the grid to kind of like block this out. I could be bothered, or I could bother myself with this too. But here now I'm using the geometry I have and how clean I model everything along the grid to block the stuff out. I need here one more point to extrude down. So this edge selected, right click, subdivide, then this G and Control, shift click these 2 points, E and Z, and hold Control till, yeah, it has the right height. Okay, it's a little bit too low. That's fine. Click, click, X and delete edge. And dissolve. Dissolve means it's dissolved, not removed. Or if we delete it, well, if we delete it, it opens it. And when we have a dissolve, it keeps the rest there. Okay. Here again to rotate, chamfer this value of 1. Very nice. Then we can do a bevel command. vertex and the weight. 1 is actually pretty aggressive in this case, because here you see this really cuts onto it. So what about 0.5? Or 1? Oh, I had the wrong value. Wah, wah. 2 millimeters. Yeah, this is good. Okay, very nice. Sweet. Okay, then we can do the screw modifier. Click and drag. Oh, click and drag there, 64 and enter. We need to go to this mode, Q, and take a look at this. So this is garbage. Calculate. This is good. Q, Q. There we are. Sweet. And you see now that this basically, then there we have an opening where this other piece fits actually through it. Pretty nice. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and there's even like a little bit of an overhang there. Yeah. I press tab to go into object mode, Alt H to show everything, and then I can turn this back on. Now it's for us, do we want to maybe put these into a different collection? So it's very easy to show and hide these parts. I simply, I will turn these pieces off here for the moment this way. So Alt H. Let's see, where's this piece there? Ah, which one is it? Nope. Cast iron. Now this is actually interesting. How did I manage doing this? So what I'm looking for is, oh, yeah. So here, good. This is good that this happened. So you see here, this is the body part. I'm gonna turn this on and off. Why do we see the rest? So this is the parent thing, and we can turn all this stuff off too. So because this is one object and the children, and we can show the parent or the children selectively. So Alt H, you see, they're not showing up. Very good. For the moment, this is probably much better. Okay, then back to business. There's a correct view. You notice actually this is just the one view which we need to see. The other view, we didn't really see the image. Very good. Let's do the next piece is actually this box. Shift Shift A and cube. We do it with a cube this time. Now I go vertex, drag this up and down and snap, hold control. Great. Then bring this over to here. And actually this time I might want to turn on the grid snapping. Or not. Go to edit mode. This is sometimes what the snapping sometimes can be a little bit cranky. AA in wireframe mode, B, select over it, hold control, yeah, then there it works. AA, B, bring this over, and I only have to bring this to here. I don't know, we will see. Then we will actually do the following. Oh, I made this a little bit more complicated needlessly. I was just, hold on, don't do this. Just take a look at what I'm doing. So I could say A, S and Y and scale this apart. Or I could also be in object mode now and for example, say, so here, this is my width. So the width is maybe 10 millimeters. Actually, let me quickly measure. How much is this? It's actually 15 millimeters. So good. Let's say 15. There we are. Okay, good. You see that this has actually a scale factor. Let's make this 14. So it's a nice even number. Why 14? Simply so that it lines up with the grid. Okay. But now this has a scale factor, and I will go and say apply scale. Good. Okay, now pause, go back and repeat the stuff what I did. Okay. Time is up. Let's move forward. After you just repeated the pieces or the steps after I ask you to pause, then we can go to this view. And we will go to edit mode and we will select the face, select this face. And now the question is, now when we are grid snapping, that doesn't really work in 3D view. So we have to go into your top view, Z and wireframe. We can bring this in maybe to here. Let's see. But you see, it sticks out a little bit. Or well, maybe we can bring it actually just a little bit to there. So you see that here and there it intersects, and same here. Okay, very good. Then we can go to the side. Now we can select the bottom face. And this might be easy to do via grid snapping. Hold Control, snap it down. Now this face here we can select if we want. Shift S cursor to select it. Then in object mode, right click and say 3D cursor to the selected. So there you see how this got centered there. Or I could also have maybe moved the cursor to an edge or so. It doesn't really matter. Cool. But now we see some other possible problems popping up here. So this pipe here, I will hide too. And there we can see how this cube intersects there. You see, this is not really ideal. Now what can we do? We will do the following, and we will do exactly the same thing like in Fusion. So I'm just simply going to make this bigger on purpose, just a little bit. Okay, all goody. And then this in G and Z and 1, I make 1 millimeter taller, just on purpose. All good. Yeah, okay. Very nice. Because we will, with this object selected, we'll go and add a Boolean modifier, say union, and select this one. And this cube, we could call cube volume. And maybe drag this into the Boolean body, so it is gone. So now we have this cube beautifully added to it, but it's in the inside and it's also on top. That's not really ideal. We need to slice the top and we need to slice the inside away. And why did I build this higher? So this is a term, overbuilding. What I will do now is I will extend the surfaces a little bit. But before I do this, this is also important. Let's make a copy. So copy and paste. Okay. Why are they two planes? No. Oh, maybe it was still selected. So this one we can delete. And then here's plane. This actually, let's call socket. And then this, that's the copy we call socket cleanup. Clean up, clean up. Everybody, let's clean up. And that's a song, I think, when it's time to clean up with my daughter. Very good. So you see, I removed everything besides the screw command. And now here comes really the trick. I go into edit mode, go into wireframe mode, press A, go to point select, and really important for me only is this inside line. This stuff here, that's the outside. I will, how could I say that? This edge here I will delete, and also this edge I will delete. Cool. So you see how far this cube stands out. So I will kind of like go to here, E and Z up a little bit. You see now where this is. Okay. And then this point, E and X, kind of like I can do this to there and here, E and X. And then these 2 points, they should be at x0. So it's actually along the x-axis. Cool. Then back to here. Let's take a look. Q. So this is very important. We need to make sure this is all good. Q and turn this off. So you see now, this is actually an element that is extended and sticking out. And really important is actually to understand that this, it's kind of like this here. This sketch part defines the final result of my surface I want. That means when I go to my first socket, because I'm building this cube onto it, this here, I can extend GZ 0.25. I just move this up a little bit. Here, this GX minus 0.25. Here I will go down a little bit, GZ minus 0.25. And then this one here, GX minus 0.25. So just a little bit. I expanded it. Again, I overbuilt. So clean up, we put to there. So let's go to wireframe, save, and please, Blender, don't embarrass me. We will clean this up. There's the socket, clean up, yeah, flop. There, you see? Beautiful, very clean geometry. So that's kind of like hard edge modeling with polygons. Polygons, not polygons. Well, we use Boolean modifiers, but we use polygons. And again, now you see it's pretty much the same idea even with Fusion when we make volumes and we add, subtract, find intersections, etc. Same idea, the methods are the same. We can also here give names to the modifiers. So we understand what each modifier is actually doing. Okay, so let's save because this operation was good. We would like to add these pieces. It's also interesting because they are around it and even inside there, but not obviously through the piece. So Alt-H. And what do we do now? So Shift-S, cursor to the selected. Then we will go in top view at yeah, do we do this? Actually, let's go add a plane. 6 millimeters, very good. Then we go into edit mode, RX and 90, very good. Then we go to actually here in 3D view, then we say subdivide, right mouse button, select all these points, delete them, A, and move this to here. Now we can specify where do we want these to run through. So I can snap this point to there. And then I can specify when I press G and X, upper left corner, you see a readout. So this is now 1 millimeter. Maybe Yeah, maybe we just have it at 1 millimeter. But keep in mind, this is actually a revolve object. Yeah, I kind of like made a mistake. I wanted to turn this into a revolve object, but this that doesn't really work, because if I turn this into a revolve, it goes over to here. So sorry for the mistake. Let's actually press X and delete vertices. Let's go back to the top view, Shift A, and then we can use cylinder. So in this case, we really need a cylinder. 64 is fine. Radius 4 millimeters. Let's go with 6. Maybe 4 millimeters. Okay, good. Top view. Then bring this over. Bring this to there. Hold control. Very good. Go to the side view. GX and 1. Very nice. Z and wireframe AAB, select the bottom. We just drag this down, AA, and then just getting everything a little bit closer and cleaner. Very good. Okay. So we will do the revolve, not revolve, the circular array again. We want to have 6 pieces, so 360 divided by 6 makes 60 degrees. Okay, so this object needs to be rotated by 60 degrees, but now the array 6 and turn this off, object there, here, there we are. Wait, why do we, oh, 60, not 70. Thank you. Okay, very good. But now we have, as we can see, there's this one piece there. Okay. Very good. So that's nice. Right click, shade smooth. Then either Q or here, turn this on. Let's check. This is all nice and clean. Very good. Okay, so we call this now socket grip. We can put this into there, select this one, and now it's actually, this is interesting to see what I'm going to do. First, save, then new Boolean modifier. Division is right. We gave it grip. There we are. Cool. Actually, so there's a grip detail, but look at that. It cut it through there. Well, that's not what we want. Shoot, what do we do? Well, this is easy. Think about the order. So, zack, zack, zack. Let's turn all this off. So we drag this one up. So we cut this out. Then we add the volume, and then we clean it up. See? This way now we have this perfect detail. Okay. When we want to create this detail to be bigger, then we would need to hide all the other stuff. Go to here, edit this one, edit AA. So this is actually an interesting feature now to show. This is the Z-axis, and this is Y and X. When I press S, you see everything scales, but maybe the height I don't want to change. After I pressed S, press Shift Z, and then you see only left and right it moves. So I could eyeball the size till I kind of like what I'm seeing. Hide this. Yeah. Okay. If I want to have more control over the size of these cylinders, then we can simply select one, turn actually the array off. Now it tells me really the readout of this object. With the circular array, it's the sum of everything. Okay, so maybe 9 millimeters and 9 millimeters. But really important is I'm changing the factor. So apply the factor because this will influence the array. There, There. Okay. Very nice. Okay. We could put in another cube to the inside, core this area out. For our activity, this, however, is perfectly fine. Let's take a look at what we have. Yeah. You see, this actually slowly is taking shape. It's pretty good. And where's the inside here, there, and there? Very cool. Good. Yeah. So the last piece now is how to do this small dial. Don't forget to save. And 20 minutes later, that's actually when I said, oh, 50 minutes already. So how do we do the dial? When we break this one down, this is a revolve object. And then we have this cut and we have these cuts. But there's also a little bit of an interesting twist how we make these cuts and these cuts at different positions. Okay, so I tried to be really fast. So if you want, if this is too fast, go to YouTube and slow it down to 25%. Okay, goody. So Shift S, cursor to not world origin. Yeah, where it is actually right now is fine. Or actually here I use the cursor, turn on the grid and snap it to somewhere where it looks like it's at the center. Yeah, this feels good. AA, then add plane, good. Edit mode, RX90, very good. Right click, subdivide, select the bottom points, X and delete. This we select. Oh, now we can maybe use the grid here. Hold the control key and we just grid snap it. Flop. And you here, you go in wherever you are. There. Cool. Then we select these two. Very nice. And we press E and Z and move it to there. Okay, now there's actually an interior space, a cavity. So we will model this one too. First, these edges here we will select X and delete edges, then point select U, zoom in a little bit, E and Z. So this is basically the modeling speed at which I work. You will get to there too. It's a matter of time. So it was E, and then Z and X, and then holding control to snap to the grid. Or you can always, if it's a little bit off, move it by hand. U here, U, X and dissolve. U will be rounded. Very good. Thank you. This piece is pretty much done. Now we can go to bevel and vertex, 1 millimeter and 10 and weight and 2. Yeah, this looks good. Then we go to revolve. Before we do revolve, yeah, no, we can do revolve now. So screw. Hold on. Let's go to object mode. I want to check something. So this is not rotated. Okay, good. So we go to screw and what is this? Well, it makes sense because it says use the Z-axis. We want the X-axis. There we are. 64 tab, then Q and this, and then here normals, calculate. Yep, all good. Q and turn this off. And S to save. Awesome. Okay, so the object center point, I will move to the front here. So press tab to go into edit mode, select this, Shift S, cursor to select it. Nope, Shift S, cursor to select it. Tab to go into object mode, right click and origin to 3D cursor. Okay, now we make a cube. Then we go into, what's a cube? 1 millimeter. Let's make this y. So 0.5 millimeters. Yeah. Then we go into edit mode, A and Z. Then move this up. I'm actually really just eyeballing it right now. This is all good. Maybe 1 millimeter down. So GZ minus 1. Very nice. Then face select. This face goes up. Face select this. Hold control. Oh, but vertex snap. Snap to here. GX minus 2. Okay, minus 1. We bring it back. This is all good. Very nice. So then object mode. We know we have to spin this. First, we will call this object dial, and then we will call this dial groove. We will give this an array. 60, I don't know, we will see. You might notice actually how repetitive the steps are. Whoa, what's going on here? Is there a scale factor? Oh yeah, there's a scale factor. Flop. There, fixed. If there's something going wrong in Blender, chances are really high. It's actually our fault. So we 60 count. Okay, so R, X, and 6. Oh yeah, thank you. My grade school math didn't embarrass me. Then I can put this into here, so it's hidden. Go to here and then say U Boolean difference dial groove. Yeah, zack. Very nice. Okay, maybe they're cutting in a little bit too deep. So then where is our piece? There it is. There's the face. Now, the next thing is actually super important. Pay attention to the 3D widget. When I switch between global and local, you see how this rotates? So I go back to global just on purpose, and then GZ. You see this goes up. When I press Z a second time, the Z line is rotated. So I will put this a little bit below, kind of like a small scratch on the surface. Or you could also simply do this way, then you don't have to press G, Z, Z. You can simply click and drag. It's up to you to decide. Very good. Yeah. So and now we have these 4 cavities. Very good. So select this, Shift S, cursor to selected. The 3D cursor looks rotated 0. We just reset it. Not really important. I just wanted to do it. It looks cleaner. Then Shift A, circle 64, maybe 10, and rotation. This is along the y-axis, 90. Then we go into edit mode, select point, move this one up. Z, let's go to local, S and Z. We make an ellipse, bring this one down more. Very nice. Okay. So this is where it's touching, and then G and Z minus 1. This is 1 millimeter down. Keep in mind this whole thing has 2 millimeters material thickness, so it cannot go too deep down. Very good. And you will notice here soon we will run into some funny business issues. Maybe make this a little bit flatter. There. GZ minus 1. Okay, very good. So B, then I select with the middle mouse button, I drag over all this, the rest X and delete. Select these 2 points. E, Z up, A, select everything, F to fill. This is important. And then E and hold control, and we snap actually here to this geometry edge, which we cut. Cool. Tab to go into object mode. Now we call this one dial groove big. Okay. And then I will put this for the moment to there. Select this. Oh, wait, hold on. Undo. Here, 360 divided by 4 is 100. 120, it's 90. Wah, wah. So rotate 90. Oh, but you see there's a lot of rotation happening here already. So Control Z to undo. So let's do an apply rotation first. Scale is the same, R90, very good. Now we can do array, and you guessed it, pretty much, yeah, same process. At the beginning, there's a higher learning curve with Blender because there's just more stuff to do. But then if you think about it, how do I model in Fusion? It simplifies things a lot. And then with practice, it gets very second nature. And I'm really holding myself back here in terms of I could have modeled this, could have been done already. But that's normal. As a student, it will take time. And then you get faster. That's just the way how it is. Okay, so we created our array. Very nice. Now we rotated it 90 degrees. Set the object for the array. Then we can drag this one out first so you don't see this. Let's add another Boolean modifier. Most important rule, save, Control Z. And now difference, dial groove big. Okay, yeah, nice. But not really. You can see here, this is a kind of terrible geometry. So, how do we fix this now? And the trick actually is really simple. We create one geometry like a plus and trim this result of these small grooves. Okay, so Shift A and make a cube. Go into edit mode and S scale this up. And go to the front view, or actually the top view might be easier. Yeah, and I scale it kind of like to here so that this edge lines on here. Very good. Then I go to face select, top and bottom. I press E and S and Z. So I extrude. And then I scale along the Z axis. And because I do this on left and right, E, S, and Y, I scale them away along the Y axis. S and Y. Very good. Obviously in the back here, this is not good. So U, I select all these faces. Oh, very nice. This happened. You see my geometry is flipped. So let me undo the steps. S and Y, or E, S and Y. Thank you. Now good, I can select individual faces. I make this a little bit bigger. Very good. And this actually we call dial groove. You guessed it, cleanup. Can block this to there. Go to here, and then this I will clean up by this one. Hold on, let's select these two. Dial groove cleanup. There's something kind of funny happening. So U2 I selected this element and this, and then Shift H hides everything else. Okay, good. I see this is not even big enough. So U and U, S and Z, U and U, S and Y. Very good. There are some further problems. You kind of like can see here, this piece kind of like sticks out. That's not really what I want. Let's see, S and Z. Does this work? No, it does not. You see how it starts cutting there? So what can we do here to make this actually work? S and Z, so I bring those back. Maybe this center base here is too big. S and Y, whoop, there. And S and Z is, make it smaller, there. You see I have all these lines. S and Y. Beautiful. Cool. So that should actually work much, much better. Maybe. You see something doesn't work out. Undo. So what do? Q, face orientation. Ah, ha, ha, ha. This one is the offender. This is inverted. So go to edit mode, A, and then we go to, it's actually Shift N or normal and calculate to the outside. So they are blue. There. Now it's gone. You see? So with this geometry, we removed all these pieces, and that result we will now remove from the other one. So what you see here is the end result after this stack. That's a really interesting element to understand with the way how Blender actually works with the modifier stack. So maybe edit and go back. So hold on. Maybe we might have to update this. Oh no, this is actually, everything here is correct. But I noticed that this element I created is a tick too small. So to accelerate everything, I select this and this and this, Shift H, there we are, go to the front view. Also, Alt H is unhide. Sorry, I might have not said that. H is hide, Alt H is unhide. To make things run faster based on your computer, I turn all this off for the moment. And then here I go into edit mode, Z and wireframe, face select U and U, S and Y, so it needs to include the next set, and here S and Z needs to include the next set. Very good. Now you do this, and then you do suck, suck. There we are. Beautiful. There's some shading going on. This actually might not have gotten a shade smooth. Yeah, it did not. Q. There. Okay. All good. Alt H to show everything. Yeah, and there we are. Now we actually made a quick concept model. It just took us an hour and 10 minutes to explain. But once you know how this stuff works, this is maybe something that should take you in terms of modeling, if you really have now all the dimensions, kind of like maybe 15 minutes. And when I measured it and tried to figure out, well, how do I teach this thing? I also spent roughly around, actually, I think an hour and a half on it, because there are just various ways how to teach something or to explain it. Because necessarily the way how I work is not the way how I would explain somebody to work. Because I'm taking shortcuts, etc. I try to boil this down. But just so as a reference, this is something that should maybe, let's say, plus minus half an hour, because there's a little bit of detail work to do. To finish everything, again, let's do a nice Boolean things. So for example, you and you and you. So the two details and then yield a cap and then actually, nope. Okay, one more time. All this and then shift this one. No, shift this one. Yeah, thank you. Control P for parenting or here. Takes a moment and S. So when this is now selected, it will actually move. The more modifiers, particularly Boolean modifiers, we throw onto it, the slower it will get. So you will notice this. So here, for example, it's just a very simple object. Here already, it's a little bit more labor intensive, so it slows down a little bit. Okay, awesome sauce. This is done. I'm actually really starving because I didn't eat. I wanted to get this video done first. Bye-bye.